With the first month of Trio Cash Cups officially over, I think it is only right to go over the player that has undeniably been through the most amount of trios since duos has ended, and that of course I am talking about Peterbot. In today's video, I want to go over every single one of his trios that he has had since Globals has ended, and talk about the reasoning why each of those teams didn't work, and the real reason why he has been dropping every single one of his teammates, no matter how much success they have shown together. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are trying to hit 85,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Use code Kdog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. Without further ado though, let's get straight into today's video. Alright, so it is only right to start off with a trio that I feel like a lot of you guys actually didn't even know ever happened, but straight after Globals, after Peterbot and Poyo ended up winning, literally like a day or two later, they announced the trio of Poyo, Cold, and Peter. Now this trio instantly got a bunch of reactions from everybody, as you could have expected. The most dominant duo, picking up one of the best fraggers on NA. It is honestly a real shame that we never even got to see this trio queue up for a single tournament together, because the pure fighting power of this team alone would have just made at least one of their tournaments together so fun to watch. And then obviously the duo Cash Cup started, and the original plan was for Peterbot to play with Cold one week and then Poyo play with Cold the next week, since it was still duos, but they wanted to practice with their new trio. And then Peterbot and Cold ended up just absolutely dominating, getting the most elims ever in a duo Cash Cup finals. And this was also around the time, if you guys remember, when Peterbot was kind of just like crashing out on Poyo on stream, and the vibes between Peter and Poyo really weren't the best at this point. And then at the end of the second duo Cash Cup that Cold and Peterbot won together, we got the announcement from Peterbot himself that he is dropping Poyo to now pick up Booga. Now the reasoning that Peterbot gave for this is he said he did not want to IGL in trios, he didn't want to be tarping, and he didn't want to limit his max potential. And obviously this was like one of the most controversial decisions ever at the time, with so many people hating on Peterbot, saying how could you have the most dominant duo year ever and then drop your duo before even testing him out in a single event. But little did a lot of people know this wouldn't even be the start of the trio drama for Peter over the next couple of months. All right, now fast forward a little bit to when trio events officially started, and this was before set lobbies or anything like that. It was just like the top 198 format, and Peterbot, Cold, and Booga ended up finishing in third place after the first trio Cash Cup. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people were already calling Peterbot washed after this, because this was kind of just like the time where people really weren't used to anybody else winning except for him. So anytime Peter had a placement other than first place, people were very fast to get on the whole like calling Peterbot wash train and things like that. But we did have a little bit of a speed bump for this trio, because this is when we started getting the news of Vino trying to get onto the trio. And we still don't know the full story to this, but a lot of the rumors out there were that Vino was officially on this trio for a little bit, and this was the time where Booga was saying like he would grief Peterbot and Cold forever if he dropped him, and he had generational wealth and he would contest them and everything if they did end up dropping Booga for Vino. I mean, I'm not gonna open up all that drama again, but that was another really crazy storyline that we got with this trio drama. Then they did end up sticking together, and they placed fourth place the next week, so another pretty disappointing performance from them there. And then the week after that, they ended up not even qualifying, and this is when a lot of heat was going on Peterbot. You guys know how many haters he already has in general, so at this point the haters were just absolutely thriving off of his placements and his failures so far this season. And especially because at the very same time, Poyo's brand new trio of Bolt and Rapid were absolutely dominating events. I mean, they were winning back-to-back trio Cash Cup finals, winning opens by like hundreds of points, and they did look like by far the best trio on NA. And this was especially around the time when Poyo got a bunch of brand new fanboys who were mainly just like Peter haters, I'm gonna be honest. There was just a lot of fuel to the fire that people were really using to put on Peterbot for the washed accusations. And then it especially did not help that after the very last trio Cash Cup of the season, they ended up placing 10th. At this point, I think a lot of people really did realize that this trio was cooked. Booga was getting like the Bizzle treatment. If you guys remember when Clicks and Booga played with Bizzle at like Sweaty Sands and things like that, Booga was literally just the player getting all of the blame for this trio every single week. But like at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, if you literally are on a trio with Peterbot and Cold, especially when the format was very heavily favored towards eliminations, them not being able to win a single one of those trio Cash Cups was a very surprising, and dare I even say a disappointing thing. Now that that is literally just like part 1 of the trio drama for Peter. This is where the chapter 5 tournaments ended, and we are officially into OG Fortnite now. Now, this was literally like day 1 of the OG season. Peterbot ended up turning his stream on, and he announced that he now has a brand new trio of Pollo and Bolts now. Now, Peterbot's reasoning for this was a little bit interesting and kind of confusing at the time. He basically just admitted that he did regret dropping Pollo and that he really never should have stopped IGLing, because at this point in time, he did still think that he could be like a top IGL, and a lot of people really were happy about this decision. To me at the time though, it was a little bit interesting that Peterbot and Pollo decided to play with Bolts over somebody like Cold, but also at the same time, this was also when, like I said earlier, Pollo, Bolts, and Rapid were just absolutely going crazy in trios. Once again though, a lot of people were really upset with Peterbot because he did kind of just come in there and take Rapid's spot when the trio literally was performing so well without Peter on it. Now, getting into their actual placements in finals, week 1 they ended up placing 6th, and this was the week that Acorn, Khanada, and Miro won. And I'm not gonna lie, it really wasn't looking the best for Peterbot, Pollo, and Bolts, but at the same time, it was the first set lobby finals tournament in a very long time for trios, so people did kind of throw them some slack here. And then in the second tournament, they ended up placing 3rd, but a lot of the narrative for this tournament also is that they very easily could have won this tournament, because in the very final game, Bolts did just have a grappler bug, and they had to like reboot him, and then when they were rebooting him, they ended up dying, so they were not able to win. But at this point, it has literally been over a month of trios, and Peterbot had still not won a single trio cash cup. And from going from one of the most dominant players every single event, being the main favorite by a wide margin almost every single tournament that he was queuing up for in duos, to going from that high level of success to literally not winning a single event in trios for over a month, he knew that if he really wanted to get an FNCS winning team, he had to start trying some new things out. Now, this is where we got the announcement that Peterbot no longer wanted to be an IGL, and this new trio was going to be Peterbot, Pollo, and Rapid now. This is another trio that we didn't get to see a single event played together for a actual official Fortnite tournament. They did play a third-party tournament, and they looked decent in it, but we'll get on to what happened with this trio in a little bit. But at this point in time, to me, Peterbot is just a full crash out IGL right now, especially in cash cup metas where it doesn't mean as much as FNCS. Trios is just a whole different type of game mode from duos. Like in duos, you can play like the crash out method, and if one of your teammates dies, it is a lot easier to solo clutch in duos than it is in trios. And I'm definitely not going to say Peterbot's IGL style doesn't work in trios, but it is definitely not as effective in it. And so if Peterbot can't be like the best IGL in the world for trios, there is really no reason for him to continue playing an IGL role when he is just fully limiting himself. And this was also when we got the very shocking news that Pollo and Rapid were dropping Peterbot to pick up Bolts again, because the experiment of them trioing together just really wasn't working the best, and there was really no reason why Pollo, Bolts, and Rapid should have even split in the first place. And so once they realized that, they ended up going back together, and this now led Peterbot to form a brand new trio with Khanada and Acorn. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this trio was one of the most intriguing trios Peter has really ever played with for me, because we haven't really got to see him play with like a fully like hard IGL and somebody that is like an Acorn type of player before, as well as him getting a full support player as well with Khanada. This is like one of the first times we have really ever seen Peterbot get to be like just a full fragging Peterbot since he has really entered his prime. And this trio definitely did not disappoint. They ended up getting back-to-back first place in the Trio Cash Cup finals, finally ending the drought for Peterbot, and he is finally in the first place column for trio tournaments now. Now, not only was the content absolutely insane coming out from this trio, but they also had the best drop spot in the game, they had the best fragger in the world, and they arguably had one of the best IGLs in the world too. The only thing that was really like a little bit scary about this trio is they weren't even really like widely considered the best team in the world, because the trio of Cold, Aders, and Ritual literally was definitively better than them on their own region. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people were kind of just giving the accusations that this trio was also carried by the minigun and that they really weren't that good, and in a season that doesn't just have a super broken weapon like the minigun, this trio really would have been exposed for not being as good as they actually look. And so then we literally just got the news not even a full 24 hours after they won their second Trio Cash Cup finals together that Peterbot is going to be dropping Khanada and Acorn and now playing with Cold and Ritual. Now, to a lot of people, I don't want to necessarily say surprising things, but it also wasn't like the most expected thing either, because obviously Peterbot's whole thing was he wanted to be back on top, he wanted to start winning again, and that is exactly what he was now doing with Khanada and Acorn, but it just wasn't enough for him. And also, a lot of people just could have really expected him to go back to cold at some point. Peter even went on to explain himself that the reason why he ended up dropping Khanada and Acorn is simply because of the fact he just didn't believe that he could win every single FNCS with them. He said that he did believe that if they had a good enough drop spot, they could definitely win like one, but his goal is winning every single FNCS, and if he is not able to do that, then he is willing to explore other options, and that is clearly what he did with Cold and Ritual. And in the first Trio Cash Cup finals they played together, they ended up winning by over 50 points, but it really could have been more, especially because of the fact that Cold literally didn't even load into game one. So is this the final trio Peter is going to stick with now? Is this the team he has finally been looking for? And what is the real reason why he keeps dropping every single one of his teammates? Well, to start off with that last question there, I think there is a big difference in Snake season when like FNCS time is going on, and in a kind of like weird point we are right now where there literally is just only cash cups, and now FNCS is going to be starting in 2 weeks. But believe it or not, I think Peterbot is actually one of the smarter players during this whole kind of like downtime for like Fortnite tournaments with no FNCS. Is he truly did try out almost every single option he had available to him, and he was one of the very few pros that did that. Like, I know a lot of people say chemistry goes a long way, especially in trios tournaments, and I really do agree with that, but at the same time, when you're the best player in the game and you know you can play with any single person you want, why not just try out every single one of the options that are available to you? Because now going into FNCS, which is literally in like 2 weeks, like I said earlier, Peterbot was basically able to spend the whole like month and a half of trio tournaments kind of just looking at how other people were performing in a trios meta, and he saw that Ritual was looking like one of the best fighting IGLs, which definitely fits his playstyle, and then Cold has always been like the only player that can really keep up with him like fragging wise, and so he realized that, and he simply just got himself onto that trio right before FNCS is actually starting. So I think a lot of us have to ask the question, is Peterbot a snake, or is he really just trying out all of his options to try to find out what is actually going to work best for him? Because he is just such a unique case to what we have really seen from other Fortnite players, where he really does have the chance to win like 4 or 5 FNCSs in a row at this point. And we also just really haven't seen this many people that are in like the peak of their prime who still want to get better every single season. And I'm not gonna lie, that is one of the scariest things for the competition going forwards. Now, for who I actually think his final trio is going to come down to, I think we have a couple of different options. I think there's currently 3 separate options on who that could be. Starting off with obviously the trio that he is on now. They look super good together, and I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up just sticking together. Second one is a little bit unlikely, but at the same time, we have seen crazier things happen with Peterbot's trio, and I'm going to predict one of the possibilities is Peterbot, Cold, and Acorn. Now, obviously, this would include Acorn snaking Khanada and Adris, who also look super good after the Trio Cash Cup, but Acorn already has all of that chemistry with Cold, and it did look like they did have fun playing together when he did trio with Peter as well. And if Peter wants more of just like a full IGL, Acorn definitely would be the guy for them. And then the final option I see is Peterbot, Pollo, and Cold. Now, going back to all the way at the start of this video, this was the original trio before even the first Trio Cash Cup ever even happened, and it really does suck that we never even got to see them play a single event together. But if Peter is willing to go back to IGLing, and especially with Pollo moving to 0 ping very soon, I'm pretty sure this would be a very scary team to look out for. Other than that though, let me know what you guys think about everything I went over in today's video in the comment section down below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are on the road to 85,000 subscribers, and we're trying to hit that goal as soon as possible. Use code Kdog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube says to enjoy one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter at Kdog to keep up to date with everything to do with Fortnite competitive. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.